All right, hello and welcome to Swing It and Ding It, an iHeartMedia podcast. Man, this is a birdie fest.
It's a Philly show, baby.
Let's go.
That's right. Welcome into Swing It and Ding It, an iHeartMedia podcast. This is Moose along with Mays and Matthews on this Open Championship last major of the year week. We are sponsored by Buy My Balls. Bet Parx. We'll see the line, just like we gave you the outright on Got Her Up last week. I'm just kidding. Nobody saw that coming. Wear SPF and Rita's. Try the new Rocket Pop Ice. Try it before it's gone. Be cool. Go to Rita's. We are joined by a very special guest, the one and only Drew Carr, president of Fidelity Sports Group. Drew, welcome to Swing It and Ding It.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. So we thought it'd be cool to get your perspective as a sports agent, right? As someone working in the world of golf, that to me and to everyone else on the outside, it would seem like has gotten pretty complicated over the past couple of years. But I'm wondering from your perspective, is that true? Right? I mean, there's more information out there than ever, right? There's more. There's two tours out there now, which a couple of years ago there was two major tours, and a lot of other stuff in the world of golf, whether it's YouTube or sponsorship. So talk to us about the current landscape, your perspective on the game of golf right now.
Yeah, it's definitely complicated. There's no doubt about it. I've been in the business almost 20 years now, since 2006, and it seems to get more and more complicated in different ways every year. I think to speak positively, I think some of the chaos is calming down. Live is what it is. It's here. I don't know that it's necessarily going anywhere. I think that's more of a function of do the backers behind it get bored at some point? You don't have potentially trillions of dollars by losing money too often, and it's not a sustainable venture from a traditional business standpoint. But I think the PGA Tour has found its footing. I think that this new CEO announcement is really interesting. I don't know a ton about him, but I think his background, the combination of coming from the NFL and really overseeing some of their new venture business and their media is, in my opinion, a soft spot for the tour that hopefully he can push things forward quickly.
So Drew, you obviously talked about a lot of changes that are happening within the golf world, but for people who don't know what a golf agent actually does, what, your day-to-day looks like, give us the Drew Carr job description. Tell us what your day-to-day looks like.
Yeah, it's always interesting. We try to be, I would say, a utility resource for the players. I think in some other sports, football, basketball primarily, a lot of the athletes have an agent and they have somebody that's maybe more of a friend who's their quote unquote manager. That really very rarely exists in golf. The agency or the agent serves both roles. So you have the traditional things that everybody thinks of doing the deals, the logos that the players are wearing, managing those relationships. But the approach that we take is, to try to always be a resource for folks that, things that are inside the ropes or outside the ropes. The relationship that we do our best to pursue with our clients gets very personal. So we're talking about personal stresses. We're talking about, building new homes, how to finance that. We try to serve as the quarterback of the team. So if somebody needs a new financial advisor, a new caddy, a new swing coach, a new sports psychologist, we always, I think the best scenario, serve as the hub for that. And then our Rolodex becomes the Rolodex of the player. And when you're, 19 turning pro, 22, you don't know all those folks. So, it's really just trying to be an overall resource. I think maybe an analogy to make is that the golfer is always the quarterback on the field, and we're kind of like the left tackle. we're looking out for them, maybe protecting the blind side. And, if we need to, push somebody back because they're abusing our quarterback, sometimes we have to fill that role as well.
Well, you brought up Liv, and so I have a lot of questions about Liv. I don't know how much you can answer or not, but it blows my mind, like that this whole thing happened, and I'm just wondering, like, we hear all the rumors about what certain guys got paid, and I don't know what to believe, and I really don't even care. But like, do they get paid when they play a tournament too, or do they get all their money up front? Are they paid like a salaried employee? What can you tell us about their arrangement with their money? Well,
let me first say a disclaimer that we somewhat intentionally have not executed a Liv agreement. Liv had an outside agency over in London that was really doing the recruiting. We did have some early conversations a few years ago about them. And so anything I share here is rumor mill or fodder from what I hear in the locker room and out on tour. My understanding is that there are a few different levels of agreements that exist on Liv. There are some players that got their upfront money, and that really served as an advance. I think we heard of that a few years ago where Charles Schwartzel, I think it was, said, I didn't get any prize money. And so they're working that off based on the prize money that they receive. There's other players that are getting the best of both worlds. And I think part of that is probably a factor of when they joined the tour, their standing in the world of golf, maybe how bad Liv wanted them, potentially how good of a job their agent did. But recently I'm hearing that some of the deals, or maybe a lot of the deals, including some of the biggest names, the players actually sign off all their media rights actually to Liv. So, what a player is doing on YouTube and monetizing that channel, or Instagram and monetizing that channel, that money is actually going to Liv. There's also some rumors that, some front-facing endorsements that are with specific players, that money goes to Liv. So it's this very odd balance that these players basically flip the table of professional golf. And what they were upset about at the PGA Tour, they signed up for with Liv. They just got more money for it and more guaranteed money. Some of our concerns with Liv in the early discussions were that, in our opinion, the guidance that was provided was not correct. Liv and their organizers were very bullish that this was a shut and dry case in the courts, that the PGA Tour was acting illegally. And corporate law in the US is very different than corporate law in England. We're much more kind of corporate protection, and England is much more, worker protection. And so I think you saw that with the temporary restraining order case. There were Liv players rumored to be parked in Memphis ready to play the playoff event, and they were shocked that they lost the TRO. And then you see the court case wind down. So I think the only people that won in that process were the lawyers because there were some massive legal fees. So I don't know if that completely answers your question, but I think it is a bit on a case-by-case basis. And I think it'll be very interesting as some of these contracts start coming up for renewal. What does that look like? Are the players expecting another big signing bonus? Right. Liv may say, hey, you've gotten your transfer bonus. Now you play for prize money. And, what's the trickle down effect to that on people migrating either more towards the DP World Tour? We've already had, Eugenio Chacarra came out with some pretty powerful quotes, and I think he felt a bit misled, or maybe he misunderstood what was going on with Liv, and he's left and he's playing the DP World Tour. And, my understanding is he's trying to chase the top 10 on that points list to get back to the PGA Tour in 2026.
So interesting. And there's so much still to get figured out with all this. Yeah. So to me, the most compelling golf that I saw this weekend was on the ladies' side at the Evian, and you were there on site, right, with a player. Talk about that atmosphere over there. Were you there for the? Did you stick around to the end? Did you see the final there? Because that was just incredible.
I wasn't there. It was a short trip. We were lucky enough to start working with a young lady named Mirabelle Ting. She was a student athlete at Florida State. She won what's called the Annika Award, which is in the world of women's golf, that's like winning the Heisman Trophy. She was the number 2 ranked amateur in the world and the number 1 player in college. So she elected to turn pro at 19 years old. She's from Malaysia. So it was actually my first time to Evian. And I was only boots on the ground Monday to Wednesday. And I flew back to the States Thursday morning to really just try to get her set up. But not easy to get to. It's about an hour and 20 minute drive or Uber from Geneva, Switzerland.
Oh, wow.
And it's a really cool little lakeside town. I don't think there's a ton of American tourism there outside of the Evian. I think it's a French citizen destination for the summers, but a really difficult golf course. You're on the side of a hill the whole time. There's no even lies. We would see it in the States, maybe if you're playing golf out in Colorado or maybe in the North Carolina mountains, where you can have a putt that looks straight downhill, but if you're going up to the mountain, it's actually uphill. And so I think that's why you see some very experienced players at the top of the leaderboard. But yeah, I did watch the finish on TV, and I mean, that was electric. I mean, if that was on the men's game, I think the eyeballs and the numbers would just be through the roof.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, Drew, that's a great segue. You're talking about one of your newest players is talking about the recruiting and scouting. How do you find and sign your talent? Are you watching college events, amateur circuits, word of mouth? How do players get on your radar? I kind of experienced that with you from the beginning, but kind of talk a little bit more about that process.
Yeah, I think there's 2 approaches to it. There are some, I would call Fidelity Sports Group a client first boutique firm. And there are some very large firms that are conglomerates that are venture capital backed. And it's a bit more about the P&L than maybe the client service, in my opinion. And so what some of the bigger firms do is they will hire an individual to basically just be a recruiter. That's how they get in the business. They are a walking expense report for the firm. They go and all they do is go to college events and amateur events. And it's really to form friendships with these young players in hopes of signing them 2, 3, 4 years down the line. While we will do that from time to time, we're not on the road full time because we have a pretty firm belief that we have to be, our best work is done when we're in our office. I love being out on tour. I love traveling, but when I'm at my desk for 9 to 12 hours a day, that's when I can really be at my best for how we serve our folks. So the ideal way is for me, is a client referral. And we've been lucky enough to get a few calls over the years, Mirabelle Ting included, where a player that we already work with calls and says, "Hey, I've got this friend that they're meeting with some groups. They're not really loving what they're hearing. They've asked to speak to you. Would you mind getting on the phone?" That is the ideal situation. And I think it's maybe not to dumb it down too much, but if I'm going to have somebody come work on my home, I'd rather have somebody come that has worked for one of my friends at their property and the work was good and they know them and it's a pre-existing relationship versus the dog and pony show of recruiting and there's a lot of expectations set or promises made and then not delivered on in that setting. So I don't know if that completely answers your question, but we don't work off of any sort of quotas that we have to sign X number of people. We believe firmly that our current clients are our best clients, not one that we want to chase.
And just to piggyback off that real quick, we know that NIL has changed the game in so many other sports. How's it affecting golf? Like, are you even able to tell any young players, like, who want to go pro anything about that, or how does that play into it?
I'm not a huge fan of NIL in general.
Me either.
I think it's completely out of control. It's no different than having speed limits posted and there's no cops to shoot a radar at you. I think they're making some steps in general to bring some more enforcement in, but the intent of NIL has been completely bastardized. The schools are completely involved. It's completely pay for play. And that's really more at the revenue sport level, right? Basketball and football. But, I think it's a dangerous thing to give an 18, 19-year-old 6 figures, 7 figures to play a sport. And, we saw the player, I'm blanking on his name. There's a quarterback that went from Auburn to Oregon, and he stayed an extra year at Oregon because he's going to make more there than in the NFL draft. Golf is a little bit.
Nix? Bo Nix?
Yes, Bo Nix.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. Golf is a little bit more pure, that the kids that are getting NIL deals, they're getting some traditional support from equipment companies, maybe from some companies back home, from some apparel brands. You saw Luke Clanton with Union Home Mortgage. That's a legitimate NIL deal. But there are college programs that are competing in the recruiting space with a checkbook. And so there are some agencies that have actually shouldered up with kids to negotiate university to university. We haven't gone there. We have done probably 6 or 7 NIL deals for college players. And then it's just a matter of kind of helping them make that transition to the pro game. But it's very interesting. And I think from the seat I sit in, you can find out a lot about the character of the kid and the family if it's just a highest bidder situation. Because, Danielle, this, the career of a pro golfer is not always as glamorous as people think. There's a lot of peaks and valleys. There's more valleys than peaks. And if the approach from player to agent is, what have you done for me lately? That's tough for a long-term relationship. And I think that's the mindset that NIL breeds, which is a concern for me.
Yeah, no doubt. In total agreement with you regarding that. You work with Mirabelle Ting. You bring up Luke Clanton, another Florida State golfer. Lottie Wode just made the jump from amateur to the professional tour. What can you tell us about, what kind of money is out there for a top-level female talent, making the jump into professional golf?
Yeah, we just got into the women's game, actually thanks to the Florida State program. We had a coach that we're close with call us, and they had a young lady who was just starting her pro career, had an LPGA card. And admittedly, we weren't in the game because they're really underserved. There's not a lot of business, not to get into politics here, but maybe one good thing that came out of DEI is we on calls with agencies and brands probably in 2020, 2021, somewhere in there. This question kept coming up more frequently than ever in my career of, well, who do you have on the ladies tour? Prior to COVID and maybe 2018, that question rarely came up. And so we had a hole in what we were doing. And so we got started with a young lady named Amanda Doherty, who's awesome to work with. She's still on the LPGA tour early in her career. And we've signed 4 top 10 amateurs in the world in the last 18 months on the women's side. To answer your question, the women's game is really underserved. And I don't necessarily blame any one party for that. It boils down to eyeballs. And the LPGA, I think, struggles with audience. They've struggled with media agreements and getting proper coverage. I think there's maybe some potential tweaks they could make to maybe they should end on a Friday or Saturday.
Right.
And not compete against all of the other sports, including the PGA Tour, that are on Sunday.
Totally
I think
agree.
I haven't met the new commissioner yet, but I've heard great things. He's very, very smart. He's very accomplished across, education, business, and then the business of golf. For a top player, in the women's game, I think it's a good goal for them to have a portfolio combining guarantees and performance bonuses that get them into the six figures. There's very few deals for young players on the women's tour that start in the six figures. Maybe a unique corporate relationship. Now, if you talk about the Asian women, Japan, China, especially Korea, those women they're NFL quarterbacks in their home country. They are commanding huge dollars.
They're like Formula One drivers.
Yeah, I mean, some of the equipment companies pay the women on the Japanese tour more than they pay the women on the LPGA tour, because the Japanese tour is followed so closely and so fervently in Japan. But there's a lot of women, unfortunately, on the LPGA that they're either choosing to buy clothes. Some of them are buying golf equipment. Some of them don't. Some of them barely have any sponsors. I mean, I have, there's people whose resumes would shock you, whose off the course portfolio would be a little better than a corporate entry level job in the U.S. But I think it's moving in the right direction. I think what you're seeing with the WNBA is great. I think the LPGA needs to continue to build its stars. I think the LPGA and PGA Tour are both behind in considering themselves media entities like the MLB and NFL have, and telling the stories of these players. The LPGA, I think, can do very well with a few Caitlin Clark type figures. The disadvantage is that nobody really cares about college golf, men or women, right? Yeah. People care about women's basketball much more than they do about even male college golf. So the advantage that the WNBA had is Caitlin Clark was already a star. Yeah. But the more that the tours, I think, can lean into storytelling around these players, that's how you get, you couple that with tremendous performance and you can build a star.
Gotcha. Makes sense. Drew, we are a Philly podcast. So talk about your Philly area roots.
Yeah, I'm a native, I would say, of Wilmington, Delaware. My mom still lives in Chester County, Pennsylvania, little Kennett Square. So grew up playing, a lot of golf. There's so much good golf in Philadelphia that I actually didn't play much in the Philly North area. But grew up playing the Philly Junior Tour stuff and Gap things, and moved down to Florida for college golf. Realized I was a good high school player. But I wish that there was more pro golf on both sides of gender in Philly, because it's a really committed fan base to sports in general. I think people saw that at the Truist this year. Oh, yeah. They've seen it whenever it comes to town. I would put it right up there with New York fans. I think it would be awesome to have a Ryder Cup in the Philadelphia area, because you can pull from 3 or 4 states so easily, and international airport, and can really be good. But I try to get up, a couple times a year, and get up farther north now to Scranton for Danielle and Brandon's charity event. But I don't miss it in the winters, but I do miss it in the summers. I'm down in Orlando, Florida, and it's awfully hot.
But Drew, one of the important things, your childhood coach was Mike Dinda. What was that like? Be honest. How much therapy did you need after that?
It's still a bill that I'm incurring. But no, Mike was, all joking aside, Mike was very, very good to me as a kid. My parents were divorced, and my mom worked. And so when I was with my mom in the summer, I got dropped off at my own request to Wyncote Golf Club in Oxford, where Mike Dinda was, and Mike and the head pro Rob there. They really took me under their wing. That I was just kind of the kid that hung out, and Mike gave me countless free lessons, and they'd let me sneak out on the course, and countless free sodas from the snack shop and range balls. And Mike really made it a home away from home for me, and it was. It was like 8 to 5 that I was there. And Mike was great. Mike's a character, but it's been fun to keep in touch with him over the years. I usually see him 2 to 3 times a year, and he's like the Jolly Green Giant. It's tough for Mike to have a bad day.
We're all fans of Dindo. We just like to
Yeah.
poke fun here and there. But Drew, I always close out, our guests with this last question: your favorite Philadelphia area course?
Oof. Yeah, I just played Rolling Green for the first time.
You also played PV. We claim that. So
for the first time.
Wow. Yeah, I played Rolling Green for the first time on a Pine Valley trip. I don't want to put Philadelphia up against Pine Valley, but Pine Valley is definitely number one on the list. I would say of the ones that I've played, I've got to go Aronimink. We were lucky enough in high school to get to play Aronimink a few times a month. We had a kid on the team whose like grandfather was a member or something, but that's just one of those places that you go, yeah, this is different. And not knowing as a kid that it was, a tour level property. I now look back and, realize how naive I was, how fortunate we were to be out there.
No doubt.
Amazing. Thanks for your time, Drew.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yep. Let's take a quick break and we'll be right back. All right. Welcome back to Swing It and Ding It. Cool to get the perspective of somebody that's living in the game and trying to navigate this complicated golf world that it has become. And Danielle, I didn't even, your point with the NIL too, adding that to the equation. It's like, man, these guys have a lot to try to figure out these days.
Literally. I mean, you think about being a sports agent, you're like, wow, that's a really cool job, right? Like they get to travel and do this and that. But Drew's opened my eyes to a behind the scenes look. And, what he said, they are a boutique, and just how he is with his clients or his players, really. It's not just, serving contracts and making some deals. He is a friend. I mean, he had to jump off the podcast to help us with a call for our charity event. It just, Drew goes above and beyond. Great guy and great perspective into the industry, at least from Fidelity's standpoint. Yeah,
no doubt. No doubt about it. So the Genesis Scottish Open, Harry, if I told you Rory versus Goddard up straight up on Sunday in Scotland, what are you thinking? Right.
Yeah, I'm thinking that that Goddard would have melted under the pressure and the heat of playing against one of the best in the world, but it didn't happen.
No, he goes 4 under 65 for a 2-shot win for his second PGA Tour win. He won in 24 at the Myrtle Beach. And it's interesting because, he's obviously on our radar, a Jersey guy, Rutgers player. He missed 8 of 11 cuts to start the season. He wound up switching caddies, and then he was inside the top 30 in 8 of the last 9, including 4 straight top 20s and a T3 at the U.S. Open. So he's someone that you hear it, right? All the talent in the world. Obviously can hit the ball a mile. He did have a hand injury, right? He was fighting through an injury. So there was something more to that, but an incredible win in that setting to play, head to head, starting the back 9 even with Rory McIlroy's incredible.
Yeah, really incredible. And you're starting to hear some whispers now about possible Ryder Cup team inclusion.
Whoa.
If he has a big week this week at the Open Championship, which he was going to be playing in that Barracuda, had to cancel his trip to California where they're playing that and make arrangements to get to Northern Ireland for the Open. Shows you how life can change. But he's now a 2-time winner on the tour. He won in Myrtle Beach last year. And by the way, also tied the course record at the Renaissance Club, shooting 61 on Friday in the second round. But that final round, 66. I mean, you're going up against McIlroy, and this other guy, Marco Penge, was playing really good golf all week and is really good on the European tour. And he wins by 2 shots. Rory just couldn't do anything but make pars. He made 10 straight pars, including on 2 of the par 5s on his final 10 holes. And Goddard made a bogey on 15, and you're thinking, uh-oh, here we go. We got a par 5 coming up. Rory's going to make birdie, maybe eagle. And it just didn't happen. Goddard makes a birdie, and Penge and Rory both made par, and that sealed the deal. So a terrific win. And, just a new guy that is really sort of, validated himself. You win a tournament like that against a field like that in the final day against a player named McIlroy, you have validated yourself on the PGA Tour. So we love when we get more guys to talk about.
Yeah,
especially when he's from Jersey.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. Yeah. You talked about the second place guys, but you had Nikolai Højgaard and Matthew Fitzpatrick, which people were very high on in T4. So good to see him playing well. And then Justin Rose, Straka, and then T8, Scheffler, and Oberg, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Scheffler is right there hanging around.
And
right?
Schauffele.
And Schauffele, right?
Yeah.
So it's interesting going into this week, right?
Yep.
Is his game right where it needs to be in Scheffler to make his move? Now, there was some news that came out today about Wyndham Clark. He's suspended from Oakmont and can be reinstated contingent upon full repayment of damages, making a meaningful contribution to a charity of the club's choice, and completing a counseling and/or anger management session.
I love the counseling aspect.
Yeah. When we were reviewing that, I was like, okay, like maybe he'll do that. And then when it came to the counseling and anger management, I'm like, he's not doing this.
So it's
He needs
interesting.
it, though.
He does.
He totally needs it.
If anyone was watching Sunday, the final round, it just stuck out to me of a guy that just seems to be in his own world and really doesn't really care too much about others. They're walking up 18, and Rory, obviously veteran, been there a million times, understands the moment, hangs back a little bit, gives Goddard up his chance to receive that ovation. But here's Wyndham Clark, just like 5 feet behind them, just walking, and then like cuts in front of him on the green, just like, dude,
what are you doing?
You're out of the tournament.
He was long out of it. Like he didn't play well at all that day.
Yeah, get out of the way. This guy needs a rebrand.
Yeah,
and
he does.
I'm with you, Moose, especially a game that's based on tradition and respect, right? You would think that, like you said, he hangs back like Rory does, gives Chris his moment, but it's like he's in his own world, just out there. Hey, I'm going to walk here.
Maybe he needs new Drew Carr. Maybe he needs a new agent to repackage him.
Yeah.
Hey, Powers, clip that.
Yeah. So I mean, listen, great. Obviously, this is a great couple weeks, right? I love all the stories, all the live from, right, all of the stuff over there that you get to see. But it also is interesting to see these guys that are trending in the right direction going into the last major. So, any other big takeaways from the Genesis for you, Harry?
Well, I mean, you had Rose, didn't you?
I did. Yeah.
He had a huge day on Sunday to vault up that leaderboard and finish 6th. So it's good to see him. I like when he plays well. He either misses the cut or plays really well. It's like there's no in between with Rosie. That stood out. Ludwig, I had until he made a triple bogey on Saturday on the 13th hole. He was right there to win the damn thing.
Yeah.
And he kind of never got back on pace. But he had a good week. It was good to see. Hovland had a pretty good week. I like when he plays well. Xander, we've been waiting for Xander ever since, he had that injury, which really set him back. But he's playing well right now to defend his title this week at the Open Championship. So I'm gearing up for a good finish here for Xander Schauffele to the season, and then of course the Ryder Cup.
Yeah, no doubt about it. All right, Danielle, I think you need some tea, but do you want to spill some tea?
Need some tea. I'm struggling a little bit. I mean, I'd be remiss not to start with the Scotty press conference that was, kind of took over social media yesterday. Just a basic quick quote from it. I'd much rather be a great father than I would be a great golfer. At the end of the day, that's what's more important to me. But there was this press conference clip, I think was anywhere from like 5 to 7-ish minutes. But essentially he's saying, like, despite success, there's always more to do. You can always achieve more. Like, hey, you just won 2 majors. Now are you going to win the tour championship? Like this, that, the other thing. He just kind of went through, I might've been looking into it too much, but I just looked at his eyes. He just kind of looked like a little bit of a different Scotty. And, he talked about winning, and then he said, I celebrate it for 2 minutes and then it's kind of over and it's on to the next thing. And, that he loves the game of golf. He's thankful that he can earn a living this way and has had the success that he has, but he says it just doesn't fulfill him.
Yeah, it's weird. I kind of took it a little bit of a different way too. Like, I definitely got that from him, but I also got a little bit of like, he loves the process, right? Like, I think the winning and the success is awesome, but I think it affords him the opportunities that he has in life and with his family. And it's almost like, I think the winning stands out more to everyone else, but to him, it's the repetition and the preparation, and every tournament's just as big. So I think there was a little bit of like, I think he was trying to explain that balance a little bit, but it's funny how, all the different interpretations from one press conference.
Definitely an aspect by it. Yeah, because after too, I was watching on the Golf Channel too. They started talking about his faith and that how that angle, how it was all about faith and how his faith fulfills him instead of golf. But then there was the other angle that you were just saying. So he did end or say during that presser a few times, like, does that make sense? Am I making sense? Do you guys understand what I'm saying? So I don't know.
Rambling.
Yeah, he was just trying. He's just talking, but
it's like stream of consciousness.
Literally.
Yeah, and usually you don't get too much from
No.
those things. So for him to just kind of keep going was actually pretty cool, right? To hear that.
Humanized. We love when somebody's humanized and they can talk about life and everything else. So I thought it was a pretty cool raw moment. But like you said, a couple interpretations there that we can take it any way we want.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's affecting us. It's not going to affect or change anything too much.
Yeah, I just hope he's not losing his drive like Rory lost it for a couple of months.
Yeah. I mean, it's got to be. I mean, but it's funny too. And I think on the Golf Channel, I think it was Brandel too. But I was multitasking last night. But I looked up. I asked B. I was like, "Wait, was that Brandel that just said that?" And he was like, "Yeah." He said, "Well,
he had a good take."
Yeah, I loved his take because he's like, "Well, yeah, it's easy for Scotty to say that." But then they talked about how many players who had who was it that
Campos.
Yeah, Rafa. And he talked about like he didn't even know if he was going to have money to eat dinner that night and how.
And he just had a baby.
Exactly.
They just had a baby. Yeah.
So I loved Brandel's take on it, just giving perspective from, here's Scotty. Like, okay, like I have millions and I have all this success and I don't know if it's fulfilling. And then you have Rafa where it's like, this is life changing. You have people like this all the time, where an opportunity like this changes completely. So again, perspective, but I did really enjoy Brandel's take on that.
Yeah, me too. I mean, think about it. Like Scheffler has a great gift. And he knew it. His parents knew it when he was very, very young, and they got him coaching ever since he was a wee lad. He's had a very, good upbringing. And I mean, he's very fortunate, and I know he knows that. But it was like kind of, think about some of these other guys that are just scratching out a living, and I that's why I really liked what Chambly had to say.
Yeah,
and then, Daniel, I don't know if you're going to talk about that Xander's quotes in the press conference too, but they asked him about the gold medal and he said he doesn't even know where it is, and he doesn't really
took it.
He doesn't look at his trophies. He said he actually got mad. His wife hung a picture of him winning one of the majors in the gym, and he's like, it's too high, I have to get a ladder. He goes, if you want, like, put like me in a green jacket up there, like, as motivation to win, but like already winning stuff, I'm not, what am I gonna do, just stare at these trophies? So just so interesting to hear like some of these guys' perspectives and how they motivate themselves, obviously, too, right?
Yeah, and then you look online, you get a tour of Brooks Koepka's house, and it's just everything everywhere. Like, look at all this stuff. Or we go to Harry's house and we see, him and his wife, like, third flight champions.
Yeah, right.
Oh, goodness. But yeah, so let's get into a little bit more tea. Jordan Spieth, welcome to New Edition, baby Solely. But he's still in the field this week. We see that Joel Damon and Gino got a divorce. They separated, the dynamic duo.
How about that?
No replacement announced as of yet, but I was a little shocked, and internet doing their thing, saying like, "Wait, Gino just posted
he was there over there, right?"
Yeah, so a little shocking. I don't know. I saw it as a surprise.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, me too.
American Century Championship. Jimmy Rollins, J-Roll, gets his first hole-in-one on number 12 and wins a boat from Mastercraft. I get a Phillies notification, and I'm like, wait, what? What is going on? So I thought that was pretty cool to see that happen. A little Philly flavor. Duncan won, and then grabbing a boat to go with it.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, Tahoe is like one of my favorite places. I
need to get there.
Oh my God, that course, or just the general area, is just beautiful and amazing. But Moose, best hockey golfer alive. I might butcher this, but Joe Pavelski, he drained an eagle putt and celebrated as if he just won the Masters, running around hugging his wife, like him and his caddy jumping up and down. Did you?
Oh yeah, he could play. Oh yeah.
Literally, I was like, this might be the best hockey golfer alive.
He's American too, isn't he?
I think he is, yeah.
I think he was on Team USA way back when.
Yeah. And then just a couple little more tidbits to roll us into the Open. Rory once shot a course record of 61 at Royal Portrush as a 16-year-old. That's been trending all over. I won't get too much into the details, but there's a whole storyline of that week of when he was 16 years old and shot that 61 and got denied Ryder Cup and this and that and all over the place. So if you get a moment, take a look at that and read that. It's pretty cool. But might be a sign to for Rory to get a Grand Slam this week.
Joe Pavelski, a Wisconsin boy, who's a Badger.
Okay.
Who's a Badger. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that was Rory did that back in 2005, and so they've redone the course since then. It's a little different than when he played it back then. So they've added some holes and tees and so forth. But hey, man, I'm riding McIlroy this week, and I'm not ashamed to say it.
So I was gonna say, what would you want to happen most at the Open? Rory wins for his home crowd, Xander back-to-back, Scotty Grand Slam, or Victor's first major?
I couldn't care less about Victor Hovland this week. It's all about McIlroy.
Yeah.
What about you, Moose?
Yeah, same.
Yep.
Yeah.
You don't want Scotty to get the Grand Slam. You want Rory to win for the home crowd?
No, I would actually lean more towards Scotty for this. I don't want to miss. I know Harry's got a lot on the line, so I don't want to jinx him.
Yeah.
But,
Okay.
yeah, definitely. I'd rather see Scotty.
Jason Day's fits for the Open. Normally I'm more of a traditionalist, and I like proper pants and the tucked in shirt. I don't love like the hoodies or the joggers. That's more Moose's vibe. But gotta say, Jason Day's fits for the outfit so far. Like, I like it. He had the King of Clubs sweater, kind of plaid oversized pants with the visor. Like, he looks cool. He's leaning into the Malbon vibe, and then the all plaid rain suit. And
how about that?
Maybe the caption got me because he goes to Ireland once, and then he's it's something I could I can relate to. I thought it was pretty cool. So I'm a fan. I thought it was pretty cool. And
they got to pack a lot of stuff this week. You get 4 seasons in one day out there.
Oh, yeah.
It's all over the place.
Yeah.
But that was a tee brought to you by Wear SPF. Looking for some protection that actually works and feels great? Wear SPF by PGA Pro Justin Thomas has you covered on and off the course. Dermatologist tested and sweat resistant. It's broad spectrum SPF that won't mess up your swing or skin. From the first tee to everyday life, protect yourself like the pros. Shop now at wearspf.com. That's wearspf.com, and stay sun safe all year long.
So Jimmy Rollins is not the only person who got a hole-in-one this weekend. Harry Mays.
Yeah.
Walk us
He's
through.
the only one who got a boat.
Yeah.
My wife didn't get a boat.
Oh, wow.
Krista Mays with the hole-in-one at the 1912 Club. Harry Mays, walk us through it.
Well, I didn't see it. I was in the clubhouse already. I had played I finished maybe an hour and a half prior. And she sends me a text with the picture of her holding a golf ball, right next to the flag. And I'm like, with the one, finger up. And I'm like, ace? ? Like, I was like, what? And she's, then by then, some people who had just finished on 18. 16 is very close to the clubhouse. And the people coming off 18, I guess, heard about it, and they started coming in and verified it. And everybody's cranked up about drinking. They're calling people, "Hey, come over to the club. We got a hole-in-one to come and drink." And by the way, I got to say, Brian Quinn picked up the tab afterwards, so good on him. It was a very nice gesture, and apparently he does this anytime anybody gets a hole-in-one over there. So.
Wow.
So we didn't. Yeah,
that's beautiful.
Very nice work out of BQ. But anyway,
that one could have hurt a little bit.
It could have. Yeah, because these guys are like ordering, bourbon, and I'm like, anything in a can. Like,
we do insurance at our club.
I know.
Yeah,
we don't have that apparently, but yes, I know that exists.
Oh, BQ is the insurance.
BQ is the insurance himself. That's right. He self-insures.
Yeah.
But then people started verifying it. I'm like, oh my God, it's awesome. So she finally comes in. Everybody goes nuts. I sent you the video. And everybody wants to know, what club did you hit? First of all, it's 125 yards, I believe, from their tee that day, up the hill. The whole Moose. Mm-hmm. The pin was in the front, and she hit like a choke down hybrid into the wind. Yeah, she's not hitting irons right now very well. So she was using hybrids instead and just choking down farther and just trying to get around, and hit one that bounced prior to the green, and it came up on the green and rolled in, and the guys on the 17th tee saw it and started going nuts.
Oh, wow.
And she didn't really go nuts. She was sort of like, what? She didn't see it go in. So, there's that. But the funny thing, too, is to add context to it. In my round, I had birdied the hole earlier that day. So between the two of us, we went 3 under on the 16th hole that day, which is pretty crazy. But yeah, congratulations to Krista. It's a cool thing. I didn't see mine go in when I did it. I don't have the ball, any of that, but I know it did happen, and it's a great feeling.
She's so cute walking into. She's all bashful, like
no, yeah, she hates attention like that.
Oh, but it was so cute.
Yeah, so there you go.
That is tremendous.
Harry, do you have a hole in one?
Yeah, North Hills, the 3rd hole, but I didn't see it go in either.
Moose, do you?
No. Nope.
Same.
Nope.
I have a hole in one on like a mini putt golf course.
Yeah.
I'm trying to look up the hole right now. That's what I'm doing. I'm trying to see.
Ours played from 170 up the hill, and then the latest tee's 125. I think.
Yeah, right back at the parking lot in the clubhouse. That's right.
Yep.
That's right.
Yep.
Oh yes. I'm sure people probably saw that going on, but that's awesome. That's awesome. And you guys, you guys played together in an event. That was the day before.
That was the day. That was Saturday, and that was the mixed championship. And we actually had the lead for a little while at like 3 under par. We ended up finishing 1 under par and finished 7th.
Did you know you had the lead? Like, were you watching the app or?
No, I got a text because people were betting on us. Okay, they did a draft, and I mean they'll bet on anything over at the 1912 Club. But they took a draft, and I was telling people, don't pick us. We're not gonna finish very high. Apparently we had the lead for a couple of holes at 3 under, and this guy that wanted to bet us was texting me, you better cool it the hell off because I was going to take you. He didn't even want me to win.
God, you got to turn your phone off when that happens. You can't get jinxed.
Yeah. What was the dynamic like out there, Harry?
Well, she didn't play well. She'll tell you that. She's not hitting irons very well right now. But I was relying on her to putt well because she putts really format? Well. It was Chapman format. So we'd each hit a drive, and then we'd go hit each other's ball for the second shot. And then based on where that lands, you pick one ball, like saying, this is the best one. And then it's alternate shot from there on in to finish the hole. Yeah, it's kind of confusing, but once you figure it out. It's confusing,
but pretty cool. And it's advantage from women hitting from the red tees and then.
Yes, especially when you're playing with a mixed thing. It really brings a lot of different options into play.
Did you primarily play her drive? Like you take your second shot because her drive was probably closer on and two, and then you're.
On the ones where she got the big tee advantage, yes, and I played really well there. I mean, I was firing things into the greens, and then on regulation, and I'm like, all right, just lag it up there because we're getting a shot here. So if par net 1 is a birdie, gives it and she just wasn't adjusting to the speed of the greens or something. But we played well. We hung in there.
You got a massage after
teams.
For your back.
Yeah, yeah, right.
Wow, what a weekend.
7th. Yeah.
What a weekend.
Yeah, Harry's full blown, got the golf bug.
Played Pittsburgh on Sunday, the game Pittsburgh, and I wasn't even aware of it, that we were playing it. I guarantee it because they know I would have resisted because it's a game where you can either win or lose a lot of money. Like the score change on one
huge
hole
swings.
Huge swings. And we would have won a bunch of money, me and Stu. Stu Levick only plays Pittsburgh, so I ended up being his teammate, and we ended up playing it, and we were up big until the 18th hole when Bobby Taylor, who we were playing against, hit one to about a foot on the 18th hole, his second shot, a kick-in birdie, and totally changed the money, where we only ended up winning $20.
Oh. Wow. Hey, win's a win.
Yeah, win's a win.
Hey, you didn't have to pay anything, and you got away with the free bar tab. So that was what a weekend for the Mace House.
What a good weekend.
Yeah,
I got to see an incredible golf course and property, Hamilton Farm.
Oh yeah.
Powers and I went up for the Children's Specialized Hospital golf outing up there. I mean, what a property, right? 2 courses. Yeah. We actually played on the par 3 course, the Hickory course. I'm thinking, par 3 course, right? Like, what's it like, the hay? Like, no, it's a 18 holes of par 3 holes. It's not
Yeah.
a par, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like short little, I mean, most of the shots I were hitting were 220, 200, 190. I don't think I hit anything shorter than like 150, but
Right.
most of them were all are right around 200, but incredible property, clubhouse, grounds. Yeah, I definitely have to get back out there and play, the other course too, but incredible event for the Children's Specialized Hospital, and just a really cool place to see in person. So,
Yeah, one of the guys in my club is a member there, and
Really?
that's right up next to Trump National.
Yeah.
Bedminster.
Bedminster.
Bedminster,
Area. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah,
What
exactly.
a property. Yep.
Yeah, tremendous. So, and then going to get out to the Legacy Club hopefully this weekend, and then Pebble Beach in a couple weeks. So I got to get the irons figured out, man. I the new irons are in. I just need to play with them more to get used to it, because I just can't get them dialed right now. I'm leaving them out. I'm actually might go see our friend Trevor Bensel late this week, early next week. See if he can help me out, because the rest of the game, the short game is pretty dialed right now. The driver is working. It's just I'm a second shot.
How about the 7-wood?
The 7-wood, it's inconsistent. You don't hit it enough to really get it dialed, but I got to do some range work.
I do.
With it.
I have to hit it a lot.
See, when
I
Harry
got a lot
was saying
of 200 plus shots at my club for me.
Really?
Yeah.
When you were saying Krista doesn't like, she's on her woods and doesn't like her irons. Like, I cannot stand hitting my fairway woods. I'd rather hit an iron all day long.
Really?
I took one of B's driving irons. I have no business having it in my bag, especially with that shaft. But I'm telling you, like, once out of every 5 times that I hit it, I stripe that thing and it goes. So I'd rather have that driving iron than I would, these woods, because I don't know, it's in my head obviously, because I can hit driver fine, but or I can hit wood off the tee, but if it's sitting there on the ground looking at it, I mean, if I'm forced to do it, maybe, but it's in my head. I'd rather pull my 5-iron every day and hit that and lay up.
No doubt.
I don't even have a 5-iron.
No, I don't either. 6
5 hybrid, 6
6
hybrid.
is the lowest I have, but
yeah.
All right, guys, don't forget the Fox Sports The Gambler Swing It and Ding It Open, benefiting the Magical Mila Foundation. Couple more signups. I think we got Russ rattled last week, because he's already signed up. Yeah, he's already in. So I'm just saying it. I say it every week. I know it still seems like it's a ways away, but you better sign up, because it's getting very limited already. So I know we get a lot of Legacy Club guys in there too. I got to talk to them in person, because I don't want to be anybody getting shut out that really wants to play in it. But
I gotta
make
get
sure
my
you
flight booked, get my
Yeah,
foursome.
yeah.
Can we be us 3 and somebody else?
Yeah, we should.
We should.
Yeah, I'm down.
Let's do it.
All right, the Open Championship. It's here. The last major of the year. Royal Portrush. Last played in 2019 and won by Shane Lowry.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the course, of course, Harry. What a place.
Yeah, Royal Portrush, the Dunluce Links, named after the Dunluce Castle that is nearby. It's a Harry Colt design, and Martin Ebert actually led a redesign renovation project, I think in 2015, leading up, getting them prepared for the Open in 2019 that you mentioned Shane Lowry won. I still think they're celebrating that, by the way. Par 71, 7,381 yards. There's only 3 par 5s, 2 7 on the front and 12 on the back. So from 13 on in, no par 5 opportunities for these guys to score on. 4 par 3s, 3, 6, 13, and 16. And I'll just start at 16. I love when they have courses over there, they have names for all the holes. Like, it's really cool. Like, they're renaming the 9th hole for
Darren Clark. Did you see what I posted on Fax's thing?
Yeah, it was very cool. It's very cool. But the 16th hole is called Calamity Corner, and it's a par 3, 236 yards coming back off the beach towards the town. So depending on the wind will change all week. A lot of crosswinds they'll get, but you could hit this thing dead into the wind. 236 is going to play really long. But it's a bunkerless par 3 that sits atop the dunes, and you better not miss to the right. There is a bailout area on the short of the green and on the left side, but don't miss right. 17th hole is called Purgatory. It's a par 4, 409 yards straight away, downhill landing area that eventually runs into 2 pot bunkers that guard the front and left front left and right of the green. It's a blind tee shot, only one fairway bunker that's on the left side. The 18th hole is called Babington's. Par 4, 474 yards with out of bounds left. There's interior out of bounds at this golf course. The first hole and the 18th hole have an out of bounds in between them. Rory McIlroy, when he teed off on the first round in 2019, hooked his drive into the OB on the first hole and put up a 7 and ended up missing the cut. I know because I had him. So it's a dogleg right, fairway bunkers and dunes to the right side. There's 2 cross bunkers and dunes that detract your view. You know, changes your eye of the green, and there's dunes all around. It's sort of an amphitheater of dunes around the 18th green. A really cool finish. It's one of the prettiest links golf courses, they say, that is in the world. Is this golf course? So I'm looking forward to it.
And Harry, did you see the drop zones
I
that
was
they
just going to
set
say
up?
that.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
about
asked Fax. I said, I need you to get somebody to film you, go on video into that area. So if you're trying to get relief and just, slam it into the grandstands, I don't think so. Yeah, throw it over there in the bushes. You got to take a look at this. It's literally, this is their drop zone.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, look at that.
So
Looks like a gorse bush.
Yeah, you're looking for relief, go over there, bud. So
right.
You might want to try to aim for the green this week.
Well, that's one of the big differences between the way they do it over there and the way we do it. These guys will hit it into the grandstand intentionally, knowing they're going to get a great relief spot. They have drop zones all over the place on all their courses in
I like
Europe.
it.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah.
And it saves time. Because you don't need a ruling. You know where to go. You know where you have to go to. Yeah, right there. So,
all right. Well, let's see the line with our friends at Parx. All right. So some interesting stats here from our friend Jeff Ulrich from at the Fantasy Grind. 8 of the last 13 winners were 32 years or older. 16 of the last 19 had a top 10 in an Open Championship. And 5 of the last 7 finished T11 or better at one of the other majors in the same calendar year. So this is a cream of the crop type event.
I think Rory checks all those boxes.
He does.
For you, Harry.
Yeah, he does.
He
Harry's over
certainly
there
does.
like cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching.
But I'm going a couple other directions here. My card looks a little bit different. I like John Rahm here. To get this win at 1,100. He has a T8 at the PGA, a T7 at the U.S. Open. Give me Sepp Straka at 5,000. Talk about Justin Rose. Give me him as a first-round leader. Like you said, Harry, either he jumps out or not.
Yep.
And give me – let me put my pen down. Give me that Patrick Reed at 7,000. Captain America is back.
Wow.
Right onto the Ryder Cup team.
Give
me Patrick Reed for the win.
If he wins it, he's on that team.
Please. Please.
That would be pretty cool.
Drama.
Yeah, a lot of people like Rahm. Rahm's a good play this week. There's no doubt. I like Hatton from the Live Tour this week in a top 10.
I do like Hatton.
At plus 250. Plays well in majors, and I just think, if I'm going to pick one Live guy, that's going to be my guy. I'm also taking him in a matchup over McIntyre, who actually played not so well last week. Defending his Scottish Open title. Give me Lowry in a top 20. I just think this place, is just, you talk about good vibes. I mean, they got a mural painted of this guy near the golf course. I mean, this is like his home away from home. Yeah. Plus 130 in a top 20. I talked about Rory. I'm also taking Rory -1. I'm going to lay in 170 for Rory to kick the crap out of Bryson DeChambeau this week in a matchup. I don't think this place suits DeChambeau, nor does this type of golf. Fitzpatrick, top 20, plus 150. Taking him over Cantlay in a matchup. I'm taking Hovland over JT in a matchup. And I already made a fantasy team. McIlroy, Lowry, Hatton, Fox, Oosthuizen, and Marco Penge.
Wow. Strong squad. You're going straight Europe. How about you could Nikolai Højgaard, who was T4 last week, you can get him in a top 10 at plus 800.
Really?
That's a decent number.
That's a really good
top
number.
10 for Nikolai Højgaard in the old Parx board.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So you think a European or American's going to win? I know what Harry thinks. He's got Rory.
Yeah.
You think, because it's weird. This course, as links course as it is, it almost plays less linksy when you look at some of the guys that have had
Less
success.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Some of the bigger hitters. yeah, this is going to be a fun one to watch, right? This is one, tomorrow morning we're recording on a Wednesday.
Yeah.
You wake up on Thursday morning first thing, or make
Yep.
it into the office, throw it on a screen. Love watching this.
And that
Love
fifth-
hearing the commentators.
Yeah. The fifth hole is great. It's a drivable for these guys, kind of a dog leg right. If you remember when they were here before, Koepka hit it over all the dunes and ran it right up onto the green. But if you go over the green, it's OB. They're all OB stakes right off the green, and it's the beach, like the literal beach. Really cool hole.
Yeah.
That's 5, you said?
Number 5, yeah, par 4. But before we conclude, we got to give props to another a Lulu member. Kevin Lydon qualified for the 125th U.S. Amateur out of Lulu Country Club. Qualified up at a site up in New York last week, shooting a 2 under par score, and it was good enough to get him in. So somebody to root for locally.
That's awesome.
I believe he's out of Doylestown. I think that's where his home is. But he'll be
Awesome.
in the U.S. Amateur.
Very cool.
Beautiful.
Yeah. And also the APGA, the Advocates Professional Golf Association, is having an event called the Jefferson Classic, and it's going to be at the 1912 Club.
Saw that. Yeah.
This August 3rd, 4th, and 5th. So I'm going to definitely get over there at least for 2 of those days to watch some of the action. So pretty cool.
Beautiful.
Very cool.
All right. We'll be back next week to recap the Open Championship. Thanks again to Drew Carr for joining us, and thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. See you next week.